It's a hard time to remember the day we left the village. Because we left our parents buried here in the old village, and we leave them here and go to the other village. Every time we come here, we remember.
Wirangale sudu sera susuna korbo da sarai da sandu taina non ritovo nirsala imbula taka na mbula ni veri reidi ke na mbula ni tiko na bole kana ngon sala lebu na kormakawa senga binaka tu non mbula na ngone na sul ka keve e binaka tu buleti ni senga soti na kare raida korbo sa lebu na kabobo ra le raida sabe sauna mbula na bono retiko kina.
When Vunidongolo relocated, they lost heritage, they lost their ancestral site, they lost their burial site. These would be defined as non-economic loss and damage. It gives an identity to a Pacific woman like I am. We are not just a being, we're an extension of our land and our ocean. We also realize that identification from women on loss of biodiversity that leads to other interconnected issues. Livelihood, they're losing the main source of food and income that provides for their family. They have to go further in to the ocean to gather their food, and this would mean complication in their health.
It's important in the work that I do that all women, all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or sex characteristics, it's important that we work hand by hand to ensure that our future generation and our children will access the same resources as our forefathers have left for us, and making sure that we are all together in this fight of climate justice.
It's not just about losing land, losing the food, losing our livelihood, losing our job, but it is who we are. When we have to relocate, it's a whole new setup. And how many people are ready for this?
These are similar experiences for the families who remain in Tongoru in the central division of Viti Levu. But unlike Vunidongoloa, this is not an indigenous settlement. The descendants of James Dunn, who was gifted the coastal land by the Tuinamosi more than 100 years ago, today live with the impact of rising sea levels and intensifying disasters on their homes, gardens, their fishing, and on the resting grounds of their ancestors.
This was all grave right through here. Oh. I've been here for 55 years. I have a tie here. My in-laws and their fathers and their mothers out there swimming in the ocean. All land before, land right through. This belongs to Mr. Charles Magoon. That's our great-grandfather, Charles Magoon from Levuka. I'm sure if it continues to be like this, then I know there'll be swashing away of land. To kind of protect our beachfront, like I only wish people can come in, or government or any organization or NGO can come in and put boulders in front of our beachfront to break the waves down. It's the waves that it needs breaking down.
They live on a land that was gifted to them. They're not indigenous, therefore they do not own land in Fiji, and relocating is definitely not an option.
Falling apart, all falling apart. It's not just to get up and go and things, no. To go and start all over again. To me, it's a different story. I'd rather die here.
The climate crisis is real. It is why Pacific women and our communities are innovating, mobilizing, and leading local action to prepare for and respond to intensifying disasters, manage natural resources, and strengthen our resilience, all while ensuring that no one is left behind. In 2022, the Pacific Island Feminist Alliance for Climate Justice was established to organize around key local, national, and regional advocacy movements to innovate, prepare, and to respond to what is now a daily climate crisis.
In Kiribati, we currently experience a drought crisis due to the changing of weather patterns due to climate change. So the drought will lead us to water scarcity, and that's affecting me as a young mother.
Climate justice is about ensuring the rights and needs of women and girls with disabilities are met. All barriers need to be removed. As a woman with disabilities in the Pacific region, I'd like to see that all these women participated meaningfully and included in the climate change activities.
The Alliance affirms women as frontline innovators, complex political actors, and leaders in the movement for climate and disaster resilience, who can be supported through a feminist funding infrastructure to ensure Pacific women can access financial resources and support when they need it, and to have a hand in the design and delivery of projects in their diverse communities.
As a young mother from a small island in the Pacific region, climate justice is about fighting to secure my children's future as well as my own.
What we know from climate financing is 1% of 1% of funding of ODA goes directly to women who are doing work within communities. And that's a problem because that's where the great burden is.
As a Marshallese daughter, I have witnessed a lot of women, especially young women in my community, leading climate justice initiatives and projects like Kathy Jednall-Kijner, Selena Lam, and Milan Loyak. And I just think their voices are so powerful and showcase that the women's role in climate justice is really critical, and especially in matrilineal cultures like mine. So if they can lead such powerful initiatives, think of what more young women can do out in the Pacific with access to proper funding, resources, and a wonderful network like Pacific Islands Feminist Alliance for Climate Justice.
Having these resources or this financial or grant available allows us to, to support these communities, but at the same time, our support is not from a donor, community driven, where we give the orders and you follow. We actually accompany communities. We work with them in their proposal. We understand where they're coming from, but they make the decision in filling their own forms or in understanding what they want for their community and what the grants will actually meet in their priorities.
The other thing about PIFA for CJ is it has a very strong human rights and gender justice and feminist model. It's like a basket that carries the work. So if we're talking about weaving, we really have woven a basket because we have to carry each other. It's going to be both the short, urgent work, but the long-term work as well.
Climate change is about people. It's about human rights, and it's about recognizing that different people will require different resources in order to better respond to the impacts of climate change. As a Pacific Island young woman, I'm recognizing that the most effective responses have come from the most affected communities. And what we're seeing is the need to connect these communities to resources that will allow them to plan, to lead, and to design responses that ensure their dignity.